morning, everyone. This is Michael, and I'm substituting for Tuya this morning. She's up in the far north and may be able to join us before long. I hope so. Um, just a few reminders before we begin this meditation for attracting money, financial resources for the work the hierarchy seeks to accomplish. So we do a quick review about how much we may have saved or indicated we would share during the past week. And basically, wherever we direct it into the world of human beings, it is for the Christ, it is for the work of his hierarchy, it's for the externalization process. Now, all of that, of course, we are preparing for, and we know that very soon the actual externalization will be underway, and there's quite a bit that has to be done there before it is possible for the Christ to actually appear on that wave of expectation, as it is said. The Tibetan begs us to shoulder our responsibilities and to use the invocation, the great invocation, everywhere we can. He says to us it's of great potency, and when used by men of all faiths, can aid in the process of averting war. Well, okay, we have our work cut out for us there to get it to be used by people of all faiths. He wants us to distribute the problems of humanity, which has been reworked by the Lucis Trust in London some time ago, and that will strengthen those who are working on humanity's problems, and there are so many at this time. Maybe when this was written, the climate issue was not as big as it is now. We have ways of detecting these things which maybe were not available then. All of this will require sacrifice. The very first law of the soul, for it calls for the expenditure of money. And the idea here is that even the hierarchy works through normal channels, as Master Moria has said, by human hands and human feet. The new age will be built, and even the Christ has need for financial resources in order to reach the needy human beings of the planet, and there's so many. So the Tibetan constantly is asking our aid and awaiting our decision. Is this an insuperable difficulty to evoke the sharing of money from those who can give it? He says at times it appears to be insuperable because it involves the problem of true financial trusteeship. And it is necessary then to deflect into the right channels money which has been going into the channels of selfishness. All of this part of the work of preparing for the return of the Christ. It's all tied up, he tells us, with the problem of right human relations. He reminds us that the meditation is a very simple one, and we may regard it as innocuous and even futile, but if we used by many simultaneously, it may shatter the impasse which at present prevents adequate funds pouring into the work which the hierarchy seeks to accomplish. Every Sunday morning we do this, but in a global meditation of this nature, obviously, we're not all in the morning time, but the intention is there. So money is handled differently now than it was when this was written, but we take what we have saved during the previous week or what we intend to dedicate and present it in meditation to the Christ in the hierarchy. It doesn't make any difference whether the sum is large or small. It can become an attractive and magnetic unit in the Master's work. Well, those are the principles that we must keep in mind when we work in this way. It seems a very mundane thing, and so many of the Piscean persuasion think that, well, if it deals with money, the third aspect, it's not spiritual, but there's a great potential to see manifested that which will really aid in the Master's work. So we have to be practical about it. We would like to see materialize certain things which are not yet materialized. We would like to see manifested upon our planet patterns, organizations, processes, interactions, which would really help everybody. And right now, so much of the money we know is diverted according to the consciousness of those who have it. There are those who tend to amass money, and some of them are very philanthropic. A few and others are simply using it for personal ends. So now we enter the meditation as he has it, and he asks us to think about some important things which we'll now do. So being in as much alignment with the soul energy as may be possible, he says, realize the occult law that to those who give shall be given, so that they can give again. And we know that the masters who have given all, really, have many of them been fabulously wealthy. Money was no object for them. Master R is one of them, perhaps. And since he is a master of manifestation, he had need of that particular energy, and he could have as much of it as he needed to do his work. He had proven himself completely. So we're going to achieve that personality quietness and soul alignment. And we formulate clearly to ourselves and in our own words the answers to the following questions. Every week we repeat this, we know, and always new insights are possible. If money is one of the most important things needed today for spiritual work, and this itself, in a way is a radical idea when compared to the old Piscean attitude. What is the factor which at present is deflecting it away from the work of the hierarchy? We ponder. What is my personal attitude towards money? Do I regard it as a great and possible spiritual asset, or do I think of it in material terms? During the Aquarian age, we have to develop an attitude towards money, or whatever the medium of exchange will be, which is not materialistic. And if we can't do that, DK has, it's kind of a warning. He says that money will be withdrawn. And what would that mean? Returning to some kind of system of barter? Anyway, it would be a very retrogressive move, I'm afraid. Now the next question: what is my personal responsibility in regard to the money which passes through my hands? Am I handling this money, as a disciple of the Masters should handle it? Now there is an issue, the heads of the Hydra. It's a little extra inclusion here. We know that among the physical heads of the opposing Hydra, as the image shows, there is the head of money. And it's a glamour. Under this gigantic glamour, the whole of humanity is subjugated. The heads of the Hydra: physical, sex, money, and comfort; emotional, fear, hatred, and ambition, or the love of power; and mental, pride, separativeness, and cruelty. So is any of us, but we attend, of course, to our own case, am I subject to this Hydra head of money? Does it have any power over me? The wrong attitude, the wrong use? What are the weaknesses, a few of the weaknesses related to this Hydra head of money? And how, if it's necessary in my life to overcome the power of this tendency over the way I live, how could I make a plan to do that? And we do have to realize that only as we use money properly in our life, however much or little it may be, can we demand the return inflow and then take what comes. Alice Bailey was always challenged during the war years to keep the operation running, and sometimes, as humorous as it may seem, she went out and bought a new hat just to get the current flowing again. Of course, the symbolism is there, obviously, but we cannot let fear govern our attitude toward money. Rather, it must be intelligent love. This is one of the keynotes of the planet Venus, which is so connected with this necessary symbol. Money is simply a symbol. But we've all agreed upon it, and we have to use it wisely. So then we ponder on the redemption of humanity through the right use of money. Now this pondering can go in so many ways, but if, when humanity uses money and more light is produced, more love among human beings, and a greater willingness to do what is right and intended by the divine plan, then money is being used properly. However, there are presently obstacles, so DK asks us, visualize money in the world today as concretized energy, at present largely used for purely material purposes and for the satisfaction, where the individual is concerned, of purely personal desires. Let's imagine these things. See the personality as the intelligence aspect, and much selfishness and wrong identification is associated with it. Can we rather associate altruism and love with money, which we try to do here in this next imagining? Visualize money as a great stream of flowing golden substance, passing out of the control of the forces of materialism and into the control of the forces of light. And thus would be produced money for the good, the beautiful, and the true. And that's a touchstone, of course, but no one of those can stand only by itself. It's a triangle, every member of which must reinforce the other member. Now the mantram, this prayer. O Thou, in whom we live and move and have our being, the power that can make all things new, turn to spiritual purposes the money in the world, touch the hearts of men everywhere, so that they may give to the work of the hierarchy that which has hitherto been given to material satisfaction. The new group of world servers needs money in large quantities. I ask that the needed vast sums be made available. May this potent energy of thine be in the hands of the forces of light. Surely all this must come about during the age of Aquarius, in which there will be a spiritual attitude toward the material aspect. This is possible, and not a material attitude based on illusion. Then we visualize the work to be done by those groups which claim your present allegiance, any group which you know is attempting to carry out the hierarchical work. Visualize the work being done by those groups. And through the creative imagination and by an act of the will, see untold and unlimited sums of money pouring into the hands of those who seek to do the Master's work. And then we say, with conviction and emphasis, realizing that the Christ is a real being and He is here. He is here in this planet, on this globe, and throughout the planetary chains and schemes. He is here. He for whom the whole world waits has said that whatsoever shall be asked in his name, and with faith in the response, will see it accomplished. And as we ponder this promise, really, we remember that faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. There will be a correction in our attitude towards this concretized energy, this flowing golden substance, this symbol of the third aspect of creativity. There will be a correction, and we're working towards that. Now, we ask for money, and we use the little mantra, I ask for the needed money for, and then you fill in, and I can demand it. And we'll see in a moment why we can demand it. But first, we ask with faith in the response for the needed money. We ask. And I can demand these resources because from the center where the will, which we call the race of men, let the plan of love and light work out, and may it seal the door where evil dwells. When we are using money properly, and in our case for spiritual purposes, we can demand the replenishment and the arrival of the resources increasingly needed to manifest the divine plan. So in our creative imagination, we prepare to give our offering to the Christ and his hierarchy. It is as if we are gathered together at the feet of the Avatar of Love and giving to him and those projects which represent him and his hierarchy that which we have intended and saved from the week before. And we say together, with heartfelt awareness of the Christ as much as we can, that he is real, that he is indeed here, we say, we have gathered in your name, Lord Maitreya, be with us. This is our great life intention, to assist with the externalization of the hierarchy and the reappearance of the great Lord. So we close our meditation with a careful consideration, each of us, of our own responsibility to the divine plan, and we plan ahead our weekly financial cooperation with the hierarchy. The DK tells us, be practical and realistic and know that if you do not give, you may not ask, for you have no right to evoke that which you do not share. Uniting love and money, money and love, we attempt to feel true love sweeping through us, and we have the fixed intention to express this love to everyone we contact. It is the great attractive and selfless agent in world affairs. And when seeking the necessary resources, love plays a big part in the source of supply. We try to keep track responsibly and record our plans for the weekly savings for the great project of the coming of the Christ and his hierarchy. And then rhythmically we give to our chosen group or groups or organizations, those who are doing the work related to the divine plan, those who are in that way working for the Christ. And so we sound the Om 3 times, thinking as we do so to precipitate love into the worlds of the threefold personality. We must unite these two aspects, the second and third, the soul and personality, love and the material aspect, the intelligent aspect, love and money. Want to thank you all for being here and taking seriously this very practical side of the teaching. We must manifest the ageless wisdom, the divine plan, and at the moment it requires the resources to do that. What the future will hold, we do not know exactly in this regard, but even since this meditation was written long ago, there have been significant changes in the way we handle money. So your tangible gifts, donations to this project and similar projects, bringing the hierarchy closer, we hope. These things are greatly appreciated. We continue with our ask work. Ask and you shall receive, seek and you shall find, knock and it shall be opened to you. ASK, ask. The science of invocation is coming. One of the major sciences of the New Age and part of the New World religion, a more intelligent and scientific religion working with a greater knowledge of energies. We work behind the scenes to build the Triangles network. It is a work, says the Tibetan, which must go on. In the Blue Rose Sisterhood, we build the chalice for the Christ consciousness. That chalice, of course, is our causal body, but it's the way we do it that counts, and with intention to feel the Christ consciousness and to know what it really is, so that the mind which is in Christ can be within us. We educate along these lines so that a deeper understanding of the magnificent ageless wisdom can be ours, and help with our service. This is through the Moria Federation and through the University of the Seven Rays and the Seven Ray Institute, where we put on the yearly conferences. It's a demanding job, you know. Glad that so many of you can come, and hope to see more of you there. In sunny Arizona. And our musical programs are available. And we meditate together monthly, at least, with the music produced for the solar fire rituals. So, friends, thank you. We'll resume again. We've been on the morning schedule, and we will resume with the evening schedule on Wednesday, 5 p.m. GMT. And if there are further considerations for the Blue Rose Sisterhood, we'll be letting you know that shortly. We've just concluded our Birth of Mary process, the 24 Shambhala names of Mary, and the birth of Mary, which is really symbolically the coming of the Christ consciousness into the entire planet. Mary is the personality aspect, in a way, of the entire planet, acquiescent to the incoming soul of the planet, the second ray, soul of love, wisdom. So many blessings to you all. We will be in touch, and our next immediately planned work is for the evening of Wednesday, I guess it's let's see, it's the 12th. The 12th of September. Okay. Lots of love from Tuya and myself, and from all the team that tries to keep the what little of the ageless wisdom we can in circulation and growing, so that it can be truly assimilated by humanity and make all the difference. And as HPB tells us, it's got to do that by the end of this century. So we will be in touch. Bye-bye for now.